So we're going to do this one by setting up a proportional equation. So a student earned a grade of 80%. So we had 80% out of 100%. There's our proportion. And we're going to set up an equivalent proportion based on this information here. So they got 20 correct. How many problems on the test? Well, the 20 represents the part, and we're trying to figure out the whole. Our decimal multiplier, or decimal percentage, is when we divide those, we get 0.8. There's our decimal percentage. We have a times by 0.8. Going from bottom to top, we want to go in the opposite direction, so we need to divide by that decimal percentage of 0.8. So we end up with, in this case, when we divide 20 by 0.8, so 20 divided by 0.8 gives us 25. So the number of questions on that test is 25 questions. So that is one way we can set this up, and we are setting this up as a proportion. Now, we did talk about the percentage being a multiplying and dividing factor. In fact, it's this multiplying dividing factor that we see here. So when we set this up, we need to make sure that we understand what should be on top and what should be on bottom. Are we going to times, or are we going to divide? So I'm setting it up here. I have 20 correct. And in order to set this up as a multiplication or division statement, if I want to divide by that 0.8, I need to understand that I'm finding I have correct, I want to find the whole. So I want to divide by that 0.8 to get the whole. So this is, if you can keep track of this, this is an efficient way to do it. Now we're going to do something called rate analysis later, which we're going to be a little bit more formal with it, and it will be easier to keep track of. But again, if we are not sure, we always go back to our proportional equation, and it's very clear. The directionality of which way we're multiplying to get the answer is going to be determined whether we times or divide. So this is very important that we make sure that we understand how to set up this proportional equation and understand the multiplying dividing relationship here, because this will solve any problem. Regardless of how difficult, we can always set it up this way and make sure that we're doing it in the right direction. So Manuel found a wrecked Trans Am he could fix. He bought the car for $7,200, which is 65% of the original price. What was the original price of this car? So I'm going to set up the percentage, 65% out of 100%. And I have to determine if the 7,200 is the part or the whole. So it says 7,200 is 65% of the original price. So I know that must be the part, and I'm looking for the 100% whole. I have my decimal multiplier here, times by 0.65. I'm going to go in the opposite direction. So I'm going in this direction. Again, the directionality of this multiplication is important, because now, because I'm going in the opposite direction, I'm going to divide by that 65%. And when I do that, I do 7,200 divided by 65%. I'm going to do that again, 7,200 divided by 0.65. It gives me, that 65% gives me an X value, or the whole was $11,076 and about 92 cents. Okay, so it's 0.9231, so I have to round that decimal, so I'm going to round it to 92 cents. So that was the original price of this car. So I'm rounding it to, rounding it to the nearest dollar. We should need to round that to $1,000 or $11,077.